Good morning, and we're live once again. This is Reverend Bruce. Glad to be here. Glad to be with you. Glad to have you with us once again. We're live at lunch, doing it and doing it like we know how. God bless. God be with you. Hey, we're going to be talking about hypocrites, holiness, and humility, part 2. There's going to be a couple of sessions. But this is just a second part of what we already started last week. And so, rolling into it, hypocrites, 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 hypocrites. Jesus said, don't be like them. Don't be like the hypocrites. And where do we get this from? We get this from Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 through 6. I'm actually going to start with verse 5, which is what this whole thing hinges upon. We talk about don't be like them, right? And the text says, and when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. Right? And then Jesus follows that up with another one, which is, I would say, in contrast to that. Because he said, when you pray, don't be like them. And then he goes on to say in verse 6, he says, but when you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. So what's the contrast? What's the big deal here? One, hypocrites are outward about it. They're external about it. And when they have the outward appearance of it, and they're doing these things to be seen by others, God's already, in Jesus' terms, God's already rewarded. Okay. But when you pray, go in your room, close the door, go into your secret place where the Lord can be found in secret, and he can reward you in secret. Look at that. And he will reward you. Not that you've already been rewarded. He will reward you in eventuality. And so they already have theirs. You'll eventually get yours. Take that into consideration. Then boom. That's the contrast between the hypocrites and the type of holiness and humility that God wants you to have, that Jesus is expressing. Right? Go back to the Old Testament. At a certain point, God says, I don't even want to deal with your offerings. I don't want to deal with your festivals. I don't want to deal with any of this nonsense you guys have going on. Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? And they're kind of like, whoa, God said that? And yeah. Because he's fed up. You know what I mean? And he says, this is, you say you want to have a time with me, but you're not even trying to be close to me. It's all for show. And God has tired of the show. I say this in reference to the children of Israel being called out right? And in particular, in Isaiah chapter 1, he is calling out the children, right? Or sons, depending on where you look at it, calling them a sinful nation, just talking about them. The Lord is just talking about them, and he is laying it out about, I don't want to be bothered with your stuff and how you get out, right? And I share that because it also is reflective and supportive, supplemental, complementary to other texts in the Old Testament that says, look, God desires your heart. God desires your relationship. God desires your humility, not unworthy sacrifices. And so what we have to be careful of when we say don't be like the hypocrites, Jesus is sharing this. He's saying, look, they're seeking something from other people. You need to seek yours from God. Okay, what are they seeking from other people? Right? And this is hopefully making sense to you when I say it, and I'm going to say it as plain as possible. Number one, they're seeking acceptance. They're seeking acceptance. And acceptance is about what others think of you, how others see you. They want to be noticed. They want to be recognized. And so they're in prominent places, on the street corners, in the synagogues, to be seen, right? They want to be seen. Remember, I said it's about the show. They want to be seen. They want to be in a prominent place. They want to be in the spotlight. And so they want that acceptance of others to be like, oh, yeah, I know him. I see him, right? And then to go along with that, they're not showing off how much they're seeking God as much as they're showing off to seek things from others. The acceptance. The acceptance is something that they want from others, right? When he talks about these hypocrites, he talks about them and where they position themselves. And when we think about it, they position themselves in places of prominence to be seen, right? To be viewed, to be checked out. Oh, look at that guy, man. He is really doing it. He is really calling on the Lord. Man, did you hear him and the repetitions that he went through? And man, that was something else. They want to be impressive. And that's something that we get from men, which is not even something that lasts, but it's kind of like the reality TV 5 minutes of fame, 15 minutes of fame, right? You do the road show, you do the tour, and everybody's all crazy about you, and then the next thing you know, they're going Gangnam Style. You know, it's gone. It's fleeting. It doesn't last long. It's meaningless. And so they want acceptance. They want approval, right? They want approval from others, which is really favor and not about faith. It's all about favor and not about faith. And so when they get approval from others, let's put it this way, right? Approval, most Pharisees only hung out with Pharisees because they were in good standing or approved, that they were quote unquote sinless, that they were righteous. And so that's how that approval works. If I'm only hanging out with the folks that are like me, right? What good am I to others? But if I'm blinded by this recognition among men and this favor and approval among men, I'm not concerned about that. And Jesus says, don't be like that. Don't be like that. Don't be like them. So they want acceptance, they want approval. Thirdly, this just goes right along with it. They want applause, right? People don't put on a show without the expectation of that of a what? Woo! Right? And this is a show. It may not be. That means they are being recognized that way in such a sense to where you can actually see them taking a stance, right, as holy and righteous. And that recognition as being holy and righteous is something that they're seeking from other people, because when they're seen as being holy and righteous, that's enough for them to keep going. That's enough motivation for them to keep going and to do it again. Because you have to feed it in order for it to keep going. And so that's part of it. That recognition of being holy and righteous among other men, and especially among other like men, right? Other Pharisees. And that's the reason for the show of it all. And so take another look. Acceptance, approval, applause, and finally, accolades. Accolades, that whole idea of seeking status and titles, even influence, right? You get the best seat in the house. You're in the inner circle. You're one of the guys. And so when you're in this position now, and you've gained all that, and you've got all that, and you got it like that, now instead of purity, you have piety. And that becomes the fuel for pride. And Jesus says, don't be like this. Go in your closet, pray in secret to God, and God will reward you. These types of individuals already have their reward. They got what they're going to get. And what they're going to get isn't what you want to be after. What you want to be after and what you want to desire is a relationship with the Lord. And Jesus said, go to him in secret and he will reward you based upon your approach and your attitude and how you come to him. You don't get it from showing off for others to see. You don't get it for that. What you get it for is for being sincere and genuine in your heart. God bless.